Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Welcome to a glorious October autumn day here in southern England. It's quite blustery, but it's sunny at the moment. It's a bit rainy from time to time. Let's hope we can have about half an hour of a conversation together, because this is going to be a shave and chat opportunity for us, because I need to have a shave. I haven't shaved in 48 hours and I also want to answer some of your questions. And before we got together, I elicited some questions from you all, and shall we begin? Let's start with a question. So first of all, and you'll forgive me if I look down, obviously I'm reading the questions, but this is from Phil W, who says, is a wet shave really better than a Gillette Mach 3? This way, I'm expelled. This may mean I'm expelled from the circle of chaps. A quick lather with Imperial leather and once over with a Gillette 3 leaves me silky smooth. Is the wet shaving experience worth the effort? Well, I'm about to prove to you that it is, because when you use a Gillette Mach 3, which is a cartridge razor, you've got plastic involved, you've got multiple blades. It's never going to give you the enjoyment that you deserve from a shaving experience. I'm about to shave with a double-edged razor with all the various accoutrements that I've gathered over the years, and this is not a chore, right? This is not a time-consuming, hate-filled experience that most men have when they shave every day. For me, shaving every day is an enjoyable moment. That's one of the first things that you need to take from shaving in the traditional way. Also, it's better. You'll get a better shave. You'll have less skin irritation. You will have an overall better skin experience. There won't be any pain. There won't be any shaving bumps or rashes, and it'll cost you a fraction of the price. Now, let us begin. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to Chris, who goes by the name of Starlight, who sent me this. This is a Rockwell, I believe it is a 6S shaver, or electric, what am I talking about? Double-edged razor. And just to give you a quick visual of what it is I have here, if I can just open this up. So, for those of you unfamiliar with Rockwell, it's an American razor company. Can't open the thing now. Here we go. Contained inside the case, you will see the razor itself and a number of different shaving heads, which when used in conjunction with the razor means that the aggressiveness of the razor itself, can be varied. It's an adjustable shaver in a way, and I've got it on the most aggressive, the level of 6, which means that the aperture for the blade is much larger. If you can actually see that there. So as you can see, the blade is clearly visible. There's a big gap for the blade. If I was to use the number 1 setting, it would be a much smaller aperture. The blade would be virtually impossible to cut me. This one, much more aggressive, much more suited for somebody who shaves regularly. But it's a lovely razor, and what a fantastic gift from a viewer who just really didn't get on with this razor himself. So Chris, I've been using this now for about a month since you sent it to me through the post, and I've really connected with it. I now discover that I really like aggressive shaves. So, thank you very much for that. It's much appreciated. I don't expect gifts from anybody, but when they turn up, of course, it's a wonderful, joyous experience. I'm going to answer another question before we get into the shave, because that's what it's all about. It's all about answering questions today. So this question comes from KFC Jones, and he says, jeans over 40? I hope so. I'm 55 and I wear jeans to work 5 days a week and dress more formally on my days off. As a train driver, I need a fabric for my working clothing which is resistant to tearing, or when it's torn or permanently soiled, won't be too expensive to replace. Outside of the purview of this channel, is it possible to maintain a personal style with work clothes as it is with formal and casual ways of dressing? Good question. What basically KFC Jones is saying there is he has to wear certain clothes for his work. How can he improve his style in work whilst in the boundaries of the fact that he needs to wear hard-wearing clothing in a working environment? And that's a really good question. Many of us face that. So for me, It's all about small style enhancements. I used to wear a uniform for a while when I was a police officer, when I was in the military. How do you delineate yourself from the masses who are dressed exactly the same? And it's always been the same answer. The devil is in the detail. If you have to wear, work boots, make sure that your work boots have been polished and have a shine on them, if that's at all possible in the environment in which you work. If you maybe wear a uniform, wear your shirt freshly pressed. You might have the option of wearing a tie if you're in a uniform which allows us an amount of variance between different styles of wear. Put a tie on. You'll be the one guy who's known then for the tie wearing sartorial train driver. Or, put a good crease in your trousers if everybody else doesn't bother. The little attention to detail will make all the difference. And of course, you'll always have headwear you can choose. So if all of your co-workers wear baseball caps, step outside the mold. Wear a flat cap or a newsboy cap. It's the simplest thing, but it can draw the attention to you in a very positive way. Just a thought. So, devil in the detail. Let us begin. What have I got in front of me here? I am going to shave today with some Bay Rum shaving cream from Executive Shaving, Scottish-based shaving company. They always do fantastic shaving creams. I'm very fond of their lime zesty one. I think they call it Citrus Kiss. Superb. Bay Rum has got a very wintry sense to it. It smells to me always of like cinnamon and the indoor spicy, Christmassy fragrance. And it's perfect in the autumn if you want to get yourself in the mood for this time of year. Now, what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to put I reach over to one side, excuse me, get some water. I've just got some hot water in a little mug. I'm going to dampen my face because I want to get some lubrication on those bristles. I want to start to soften them up because they've been on my face now for 2 days and they are definitely, quite wiry at this point. I'm also going to apply some pre-shave to my shaving experience. This should show you. It's Proraso. This is one of my all-time favorites. It's the mentholyptus and eucalyptus pre-shave. Simple cream stuff. You just get it on your hands, a little bit of that, rub it in. You might have to put a bit more water in as well. All this does is provides another level of lubrication onto the skin. It's got a wonderful minty menthol fragrance to it. Always smells wonderful, feels tingly against the skin, and it's a beautiful experience. Just get that off my hands. Excuse me, whilst I just get prepared. Get my little towel here. Okay, so moving on. What am I going to use here? Well, I am using a Yaqi brush. This is a Yaqi 24mm synthetic brush. People often ask me what's the difference between synthetic and something like Badger. Factually, synthetic is going to last longer and it performs just as well, in my opinion. And they're very modestly priced. All I'm going to do, I'm going to dip that, get a bit of that, not too much, on the end of my, as you can see, just want to get some of the material on the end of my brush. I've got a lathering bowl here, stainless steel lathering bowl. No water involved whatsoever at this point. I'm just getting it on the bottom, layering it up. I'm going to dip my brush in some water to get it damp, and now I'm just going to whip it up into a lather. It is as simple as that. And in no time at all, and I mean no time at all, you will soon have a usable lather. The fragrances of cinnamon and spice are emanating from this beautiful lather already, which is coming, well, as you can see, already built this amazing meringue type lather, which is all I need to shave. I'm going to get it on the face straight away. I know some people like to spend ages building a lather. It's functionally not necessary. And I just want to get on with my shave and talk to you at the same time and answer your questions in this wonderful day. It's going a bit dark. It may rain, but you know, we're here for the duration. So there we go. Of course, the lathering process of shaving is much of the fun of it because feels great on the skin, and you can take as long or as little time as you like getting that on there. Right, that's great. Let that settle down. while I answer another question for you. Next question from John Stern. As a new wet shaver, I have some potential saving questions. Number 1, do you use pre-shave lotion before lathering up and for each pass, or just the first one? Well, you've just seen it. I do use a pre-shave lotion before I initially shave because it's an extra layer of protection and lubrication for the skin under the shaving cream itself. It just works well. Do I use it after the first pass? No, I do not. You can do, should you wish to. If you've got plenty of time and you really want to go to town and thoroughly enjoy your shave, yes, you can. Of course you can. If you do 3 passes, you can apply the pre-shave between each pass because all you're doing is making it easier for your blade to work on the skin. So, answer to first question, yes, I do. Second question, run down the blade sharpness for a few brands. Okay, well, you're asking the different levels of double-edged razor. All of them have a different level of sharpness. People will have a preference. Inside this razor is a Gillette Nacette razor. So it's known for being particularly a sharp razor. Feathers is possibly regarded as being the sharpest, and I would go along with that. That's the other brand which I use regularly. But then there are all other types. In my experience, the top 2 types for sharpness are Nacette and feathers. So up to you which you prefer. A good way of finding out what you like is to buy a multi-pack of all different brands and try them all. You know, use them for a week at a time and you will find one which suits you and your skin. Don't necessarily just go for the sharpest. Sharpest doesn't mean it's going to suit you the best. Your particular skin, which may be sensitive, may prefer something a little less aggressive. And finally, aftershave or witch hazel? Which do you prefer? Can you use both? Well, today I'm going to be using witch hazel. Aftershave normally predominantly has alcohol as its main ingredient. It does dry the skin. It's not great for the skin. I don't use aftershave. You could use witch hazel and then use aftershave afterwards. I don't really see the point. Many people might do. But for me, I use witch hazel followed by some sort of lubricating face cream. Generally. Today I'm not going to. I'm going to use an aftershave now I say that, but it's up to you. But yeah, as long as you use a witch hazel or something like that, which will look after your skin, what you apply after it, slightly less of a concern. Let us go on. I am going to get started. I've just dipped it in some water and here we go. Oh yeah. Always a pleasant experience. Now this razor I've got in here, as I say, is a Gillette Nacette, which is known for being fairly sharp. And it's not brand new. It's the second use for this razor. I used it the other day for the first time. So all I'm doing is dipping it in a mug of hot water to get off the bristles and the detritus between my passes. Nothing more than that. There we go. Nice and easy. That beautifully sharp razor and the very aggressive blade, sorry, the very aggressive aperture on the razor, excuse me for touching the microphone, is working well. There we go. That's one side done. Then we'll answer another question in a minute. Secret is to take your time and enjoy the experience. You will find your own personal techniques that you prefer, how you like to hold the razor, which direction you shave in. When I make these shaving videos, I'm always conscious that a lot of you don't shave like this. You will be using a cartridge razor and you often think, what a load of faff. You know, he's taking ages to shave. When I use my cartridge razor, it's done in minutes. I'm taking my time because I want to talk to you. Don't think it's always taking this long. Okay, so next question. From Leonard Goff. I would love to see what type of car a chap drives. Good question. I drive a Volkswagen Golf. Not very exciting, gentlemen. not very exciting at all. The wind is really getting up now. I'm not a car guy, all right? You'll have probably gathered, if you watch my channel, I never talk about cars. I drive like a very functional, daily, always starts, always gets me from A to B. That is the primary importance in my life. I'm not really worried about being flash or anything like that. I do have areas in which I express my personality in my possessions. One of them is not my car though. You probably know if you watch my channel, I like wristwatches. And today I'm wearing a Rolex Datejust. Bit of a classic, bit of an old-fashioned watch, but I absolutely adore it because it meets my style requirements very much. So, not a car guy. If you're asking me what would my dream car be, if there's one car which really floats my boat, which I see on the roads quite regularly, I would have to say it would probably be, right, either exceptionally utilitarian, like the new Land Rover Defender, or nice and slippery and beautiful, like the X-Type Jaguar, something really smart like that. One or the other, depending on what my mood would be at the time. Okay, another question perhaps from Matt M. Did you ever comment on David Beckham's clothes at Her Majesty the Queen's lying in state? I thought he looked good. I suspect we will see young men wearing similar outfits, flat cap included, to funerals in the future. A harbinger of style on the rise. Good point. It's been a few weeks now since we lost our beloved Queen here in the UK, and of course in that sort of interbellum between the Queen's death and her official funeral, when she lay in state in London, in Westminster Hall, people of course were able to queue and file past the monarch's coffin to pay their respects. David Beckham, famous footballer, probably more famous for being a celebrity in this era, queued up with everybody else, and he was smartly dressed. He did look the picture of elegance for somebody who I believe he's probably in his early 40s. So I thought he does set a bit of an example. A juxtaposition really, because he often has a straggly beard and he's clearly covered in tattoos. So he occupies a middle ground which many young men might look at and aspire to, because they see him as one of their sort of icons of fashion. His wife, of course, Victoria Beckham, ex-Spice Girl, is a fashionista. She owns a fashion house. So absolutely, it's great to see David Beckham dressing respectfully for what we in this country can only see as, the most respectful situation that we could ever live through. The death of a monarch and a moment where you get to attend a lying in state and pay your respects. So hats off to David Beckham. I think he did the right thing. He looked fantastic. Great result. And if it inspires other young men to dress like that, I'm all over it. Support 100%. So another question. I'm trying to get through as many as I can before my next pass. Der Globetrotter has asked me, "Hi Ash, how do you keep with traditional clothing when going camping or longer hiking? Are there occasions when one cannot escape modern outdoor clothing?" Good question. Now, I spend a lot of time in the outdoors, hiking, trekking, just spending time camping. It's one of my passions in life. As much as I love men's style, I love also utility. And as much as I would love to wear a tweed jacket in the outdoors, which I often do, if I'm really going out into the wilds, I am not an idiot. I am not going to forsake science, which has provided me things like Gore-Tex Pro Shells and things like that, to wear tweed. It could be done, of course, if you're going out for the day and style is important, you can wear tweed. You can wear, natural fabrics against your skin, which work exceptionally well. Wool, cashmere, merino, things like that. They are functionally superb. But if I'm going out trekking and I am really up against the elements, I am going to make use of what science has given me, and I'm going to wear the latest contemporary items, because they are going to make my day more comfortable and I'm going to be more capable in whatever activity I'm undertaking. It's always a balance between heritage and contemporary style and function. So yes, I do wear a wax jacket when I can. I do wear woolens all of the time. But if I was really going out there into the hills, when I go skiing, I don't wear a tweed skiing suit. I wear the latest materials, synthetic materials that wick away the sweat and are fantastically capable. This is probably why we don't see professional sports people, skiers and the like, wearing, heritage clothing. So let us carry on. We need a second pass. So I'm going to get some more water on the face because my skin has dried. Just get some water on there. Now, to go back to the earlier question, I could, of course, reapply some pre-shave. I don't want to for today. I'm just going to get on with it. So just whip up my lather, get it back on there. Still warm, which is good. Get that on the skin. There we go. We'll be ready for a second pass. Already much easier going on because obviously my skin is now free of that first lot of bristles. There we go. Lovely feeling putting on the second layer after you've shaved the once. Oh, lovely. Beautiful smell. You know, this is the beauty. This is what you don't get when you shave with cartridge razors. You don't spend time thinking about, you know, the fragrances and how they will alter your feelings for the day. That's what I love. There we go. Rockwell 6S with the number 6 base plate, which means it's the most aggressive part. So, quick one. Let's try and knock one out here. Chris Sheffield has asked, please share your thoughts on layering fragrances from shaving soap and aftershave. I see what you mean. I am applying a bay rum shaving cream right now, all right? I'm not going to use a bay rum as my final fragrance of the day. I am going to actually use, and I'll give you a little nod in advance, I'm going to use Chanel Egoiste. It's got many similarities to the bay rum in that it's spicy and that it has a cinnamony winter amber fragrance to it. So they have a relationship. The fragrances are very similar. If I was to use something else, maybe something with a profound citrus base tone to it as my fragrance, it may fight with the shaving cream. I always try to use a shaving family of fragrances. So if I use a shaving cream which is citrus based, I will ensure that my fragrance of the day is a citrus based fragrance. They don't have to meet perfectly, but as long as there's a relationship, I'm normally happy. Okay, let's get on. I'm going to shave against the grain of my skin now, just to get it going. There we go. Nice. Get that off there. Get rid of that. It's all good. I don't think the weather knows what it's doing. 1 minute it's threatening to rain on me here, and the next I'm getting little bits of sun peeping through, which is great. That's what I love. Living in a temperate climate, you never really know what the weather's going to do. Especially in October in the UK, which is a notoriously changeable time of year. Okay. Excuse me for being quiet here. As you can imagine, I've got a very sharp razor blade in a very aggressive razor, and I'm shaving my throat. Oh, here's the sun again. That's what we like. Nice. That's it. There we go. So, not bad. I'm happy with that so far. Okay, folks, so let us answer another question. What have we got here? So, this is from Eric from Ventura, California, USA. I recently came across your channel. I want to ask a question. I am a Yank from across the pond and frequently wear khaki trousers. I noticed that in London and the UK in general, khaki trousers are not worn that often. Since they are a staple in my everyday workwear, what are your thoughts of khaki trousers? Well, khaki originated from the UK in a way. It was an officer from the British Indian Army serving in that continent who created khaki. Because back in that era, British Army uniforms were predominantly white trousers, right? So you get white trousers, and in a steamy, hot, balmy climate like India, you would have difficulty keeping those trousers white because they would get marked, they would get sweaty. And white is a challenging colour to keep that colour in a bygone era without biological washing powder and, you know, hot water temperature washing machines. So what this chap did, and I forget his name, he took his white trousers and he dyed them using tea. So they ended up in a colour which is now referred to as khaki. And that is how khaki got its start in the world. Khaki was basically somebody being practical with their white trousers and making it more functionally capable. Now, other people saw him wearing those trousers, they asked what he'd done, and everybody started doing the same, dyeing their trousers a khaki colour. And it became a much easier way to keep their uniforms in condition in that environment. And as time went on, khaki became the actual uniform colour of the British Army for a period of time. And as such, it's, you know, spread around the world. I believe in America, the predominance of wearing khaki stems from, I think it was the Spanish War, where those trousers were adopted by soldiers for the climate, which was more in keeping with cotton trousers than what they were issued. And I know, of course, having travelled and spent a lot of time in the States, khaki is the predominant colour of chinos in your country. In the UK, because we have a much different climate, of course there's a hugely different climate in the US because it depends where you live. If you live in the north, it's virtually like Canada. If you live in the south, it's virtually like Mexico. You've got very different sort of temperances to the weather. Here, much smaller country, we all tend to be affected by the weather in the same way. We tend not to have those really hot climates for long periods of time, so we tend to go for the darker colours. If I was going to guess, I would say that navy is the predominant colour for khaki. We use the term khaki, don't we, to describe a chino trouser, such as its common usage. But no, chino trousers in this country, I would say navy is probably the most common. I've got a collection of chino trousers and a variety of different colours. So that's the reason, really. I would imagine it's climactic rather than anything else. So, how is my shave looking? It's not bad. I normally get a little bit of stubble here which clings on at the chin. So all I'm going to do, a little bit of water on my finger, going to lather it up just that little bit, just like so. Just the problem area. And I'm going to use my razor just to get rid of that little bit there, because I want that area nice and smooth. So all I've done is, over time, I know where my areas of issue are and I've sorted them. So there we go. Now I'm done. All I'm going to do now, a little bit of water on the face, just gonna getting rid of any stuff that's left on the skin. My trowel. Before we move on, oh, excuse me for hitting the mic, no doubt. There we go. Oh, little nick. I very rarely nick myself these days when I shave. I've got so used to it. However, got me today. So, one more question. Shall we have a quick one? What about, oh, this is from Jim. What about pocket squares made of the same material as the shirt? What are your thoughts? My thought? No. Yeah, I know the old saying is, if you're going to wear a tie and a pocket square, don't wear them matching, all right? It's not a hard and fast rule. There are no hard and fast rules in men's style, but it looks like you're trying a little bit too hard. If you're not going to wear a tie and you're going to wear a shirt, and if you then subsequently wear a pocket square, which is the same material as the shirt, I would suggest it's potentially a bit of overkill. It can be done, you know, if you're wearing a white shirt and you wear a white pocket square, I'm going to say that's absolutely fine, because the white pocket square is universally accepted, it's neutral, you can wear it with anything. Other than white though, I'd be very careful wearing a matching pocket square and a matching shirt. It's going to look like overkill. So pick something slightly different. This is the whole point of the pocket square. It allows you to show a little bit of chaos in your clothing, to be a little bit avant-garde. So let's have a look for another question. And I've got one here, there's lots here, from Mark Broomhead. Mark says to me, my questions would be, a recommendation for a quality winter scented shave cream. Well, there is nothing more appropriate for this time of year than bay rum. It's a classic fragrance. Most of the high quality shaving product manufacturers will have a bay rum version. It's hard to describe it. What does it say here? It doesn't give me a description of how it smells. As I've said to you though, it smells cinnamony, spicy, ambery, and it is so wintry, and it's universally available. I mean, I can heartily recommend executive shaving. I've been using this stuff for many years. It provides a fabulous lather and the fragrance is great. And if you like bay rum, they normally always have, they have a shaving cream, they have a shaving balm, they will have an aftershave. So if you want, as the earlier question said, you wish to layer your fragrances, all of the same, you can do so if you use executive shaving or any of the other brands. So absolutely. And if you want to go for a scent, well, I'll talk about this one in a moment. And finally, what are the pros and cons of a shave cream versus a hard shaving soap? Okay, I'm using a shaving cream today. It's a semi-liquid, all right, so it's solid, it's set, as you can see. You know, it is, it's a solid material. It's not going to fall out to the pot, but it is not hard like a soap. It is not a absolute solid. There's no effort to get that onto your brush. You just dip the brush in, and you know the residuals of what you need to build a lather just come away. With a shaving soap, you've normally got to work hard at it, so you've got to get a wet brush and get stuck in there and whip it in. Or if you put some water on top of the soap in advance, it will bloom, so the soap will become semi-liquid on the top, and it will allow you to get that lather a lot easier. For me, I do have soaps. I've got some florist soap, I've got some other ones from some well-regarded companies, but for ease of use and the fragrance, I think, smells better when it's on a cream. My personal choice. So ease of use and performance, I prefer a cream over a soap, but other people will have their own preferences. Okay, now I have done my shave. I'm now going to apply some witch hazel. My skin has just been through a trial. I've just dragged a very sharp razor and on an aggressive razor itself, my Rockwell 6S, courtesy of Chris, thanks very much, over my skin. I've taken the top layer of cells. I've actually got a little nick here and there because I wasn't really paying attention because I was talking to you. So in order to protect my skin, I'm now going to apply an astringent, right? This is witch hazel astringent. This is by a company called Thayer's, very popular in the shaving world. This is the original one, but they do come in a number of different flavors, fragrances. And all this is, it's a natural product, it's witch hazel. Put it in the hand, and I just apply it to the face as if I was applying an aftershave. And what that does, as an astringent, it's an anti-inflammatory, it's an anti-infection, it's antibacterial. It will protect the skin. It also works as a skin toner. It tightens the skin a little bit. So there we go. So any little nicks you've got are now protected. And you will feel, it feels great actually. There's no discernible fragrance with it at all. But I now know my skin is in good shape. I could quite happily walk away now, and this would be me done for the day. Lovely shave, clean skin, very smooth. It's worked wonders for me. I could equally apply a shave cream at this point, or what I should say is a shave balm, something which moisturizes the skin, makes the skin feel good. I'm not going to today. I'm just going to apply a fragrance. I'm not going to apply it to my skin though. I am leaving the skin done. That's the face done. I'm just going to apply some Chanel Egoist. Now Chanel Egoist, I'll just show you it, maybe a little closer up. This is an old classic from Chanel. It's my favorite winter fragrance. And I haven't done a review of this on my channel, but I should do. I am just going to squirt it on the pulse points around my neck. So where the big veins and arteries come up to feed my brain, the veins and arteries near the surface, there's a perception that if you spray things there, it's a little bit of warmth generated by those large arteries near the top of the skin. It makes the fragrance come to life and project it. And don't forget, back of the neck, big arteries running up the spine, same principle. That's it, couple of sprays and you're done. It's a strong fragrance, although it's an eau de toilette, and it is, how do I describe it? It is spicy, it is ambery, it is winter in a bottle. And it's strong and it's quite conservative. So if you're a gentleman who likes to dress in a conservative style, you've just achieved that in a bottle with Egoist. I'm a real big fan of Chanel's offerings actually, but that one is a good one. It's about £80 a bottle, so it's not cheap, but it lasts a long time. You don't have to apply much, and it's really classy. I mean, when I go into a room after I've applied that, people will absolutely say to me, "Ooh, that's a lovely fragrance. What are you wearing today?" And that's always very enjoyable, isn't it, when you wear something? So, quick question. Visual question for you. Here we go. I've recently purchased a new tweed suit, is the question from William. And he says, I am looking for a waistcoat to complement it. I'm considering a moleskin fabric with matching buttons to give a softer yet intentional look. I picked out this suit because I felt it checks a lot of the boxes for my lifestyle and can be worn with a variety of looks. So here we go. So as you can see, and I'll throw the image up here, what William is wearing is a tweed which has got a check pattern, and it's predominantly, I would say from the image, quite a greeny essence, but you can see that slight red check visible within the tweed. And it's quite a conservative, I would say old-fashioned looking jacket. It's got notched lapels, quite small lapels, which would suggest it's probably a 3-button job. So a little bit perhaps not as the modern fashion would suggest, 2 buttons. Classic and elegant, in other words. My suggestion would be to pick something which marries nicely with that jacket. And as you can see, there's a red check pattern within it, a plaid pattern. I would go for a red, predominantly red, or certainly red, moleskin waistcoat. Try and get one with the lapels on it, which adds extra interest. And a particular brand I'm very fond of is Cordings of London. I know they do a range of moleskin waistcoats which meet that criteria with the lapels in quite strong colours. They do red, they do like a yellow, which is also very attractive. Either of those would go well because the colours are within the same family. But because there is red in the check pattern which is visible within your garment, it would be a marriage made in heaven, in my opinion. Have a look on the Cordings website. It's very traditional. The waistcoats are not hideously expensive. I believe they're going to be in the £100 to £150 range, which, you know, remember, a waistcoat's going to last you for life. You're never going to wear it out. You're never going to, you know, go through the knees or anything like that. So yeah, think about that one. It would be the signature item within your clothing. So choose carefully, because a red waistcoat is really something quite distinctive and it's not going to go unnoticed. Okay, let's have another look. Oh, from Modern Dandy. Must a chap have elegant penmanship, or is legible enough? Well, I guess legible is enough. If you're using a pen at all, you're probably in the top 10% of people in the modern era. Now, as you've probably noticed if you watch my channel, I do carry a journal and I do use a fountain pen to write within that journal, because for me, the way my creativity works, from brain to hand with a pen, much more productive than it is typing into a computer. Of course, I do type into a computer for work, but when I'm writing for YouTube, for instance, I write with a pen into my journal. It just works for me. So yeah, if you're even writing at all, you're somewhat unique, I would suggest. But yeah, as long as you can read it, that is the important thing. Now, if you're writing in a birthday card or a letter to a friend or associate, that's where you've got to be a little bit more careful. It's got to be able to be read. Otherwise, there is little point in sending something to somebody. So yeah, put a bit of effort in. Makes it look as if you've done the work. Okay, next question. What have we got? Oh, we're coming to the end. Couple more though. Right. A question from Instagram. Somebody called II or LLWTUA. I can't pronounce it. The word doesn't make sense. However, does the skin reaction to shaving with a double-edged razor get better with frequent shaving? Yes, it does. When you initially start shaving with one of these beauties, particularly if you're using an aggressive razor, your skin will not like it. It's not used to it. It's used to the soft, caressing touch of a cartridge razor, perhaps. But in a very short period of time, your skin will adapt. You're training your skin. As I said earlier, when you're using the razor in different directions, your skin will become accustomed to that different way that you shave, and your skin will react to it. Now, me personally, I shave every day of the week. It's rare that I miss a day's shaving. Just my life. It's the way I like to be clean shaven. I missed a day yesterday deliberately so I could have a nice stubble to talk to you guys today. And I didn't feel right. But because I use a razor in the way that I've just used, I look after my skin, I protect my skin by using the materials like witch hazel that you've seen earlier. I use good quality shaving creams. I use a pre-shave. It's not arduous on my skin. My skin is happy with that level of scrutiny by a razor blade. But when you initially start, your skin may be reacting to that difference of regime. You have to stick with it. You have to find that groove for your skin where you're looking after it right, you're shaving at just the right level. Don't be put off. Stick with it. It might take a few weeks, but when you get there, you will never go back, and you're going to save a fortune using the razor blades of choice. One final question now, gents, and this is from, let's have a look, Gorgeous George. It's an interesting one, actually. I remember reading this from when I wrote it down. Gorgeous George asks a question about hair pieces. I've never had a question about that before. And what he says is, my hair has been thinning for years, which has accelerated in my 40s. I have found a place in London that matches hair colour to my natural hair and has changed my life for the better. So he's talking about a hairpiece, a toupee, a wig for a gentleman. Since using a hairpiece, my confidence has returned. I look younger. I feel I can wear jeans again. It has been a fantastic investment for me. The system, the hairpiece system, does have some issues. I can only tolerate the glue, which is used for 4 to 5 days, and I have to leave it off for a day. And my wife says I should embrace balding and let my hair go. I say never. What do you say? Okay, big question. Now, I went bald or started to lose my hair probably in my very early 40s. I had a thick head of hair in my youth, and when I got to sort of early middle age, my hair started to thin, and I decided to trim it, cut it off. I don't shave my head. I use a shaving implement, one of these razor, Babyliss hair cutter things. I run over it once a week, and it keeps it at this sort of constant #1 level. For me, it's a good compromise. I'm not concerned about appearing to have no hair. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But I understand that many men feel very differently, because you might have a bit more of a fragile sense of self-esteem, a bit more of a lack of confidence, and you associate your physical presence and that confidence, that self-esteem, can be knocked by having, crooked teeth. You might have a scar. You might have the loss of hair might be the thing which damages your confidence. If you were one of those people that you feel your self-esteem is tied to an individual part of your body, like your teeth, your hair, whatever it may be, your weight, if it makes you feel better to wear a hairpiece, I see no problem with it whatsoever. Me, myself, I'm not bothered about being bald. I mean, I look at role models, people who have no hair, who are very stylish men. Jason Statham, for instance, British actor, action star, embraces his baldness. The royal family, the Prince of Wales, Prince William, lost his hair when he was a lot younger than me. Very stylish and smart man, probably one of the most photographed men in the world because of his position in life. Doesn't bother him in the slightest. For me, I embrace hair loss. It's, of all of the things that can befall an individual, losing one's hair is so minor and so common that it's not a concern for me. I mean, if I sit in a room with 10 men of my own age, 6 of those men will have significant hair loss. Probably only 3 will have a really good normal head of hair like they had when they were younger. Male pattern baldness is just part of life. And in my opinion, it's a part of life I'm not really worried about. But if it works for you, by all means go for it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's your confidence, it's your self-esteem. The only thing is, if it's costing you a pile of money, and as you age, obviously, if you say you're in your 50s, 40s, your hair is going to change colour. You need to stay on top of things like that. If you're wearing a hairpiece which doesn't match your actual remaining hair, it can be very obvious. And then for confidence and self-esteem, if somebody sees that you're clearly wearing a hairpiece, for me that's far worse than being bald. Nobody's going to point at you and think you look unusual if you've got no hair, because it's normal. But if you've clearly got a hairpiece on, it is unusual. We really don't see it that often in this modern era, because baldness is now much more accepted. You know, people don't have these comb overs anymore and things like that, because it's embraced, you know, it's part of the fashion style. So if it works for you, George, stay gorgeous, all right? Get that hairpiece, let it work for you. Don't worry what the wife says. If it boosts your confidence to the point that you feel younger and you feel you can wear jeans again, and it gives you that self-esteem boost, it's worth however much money you're paying for it and however much hardship you have to go to get to that. Because, you know, at some point you might change your mind. You might feel that you want to embrace your baldness. When it's there, it'll come for you. Do whatever's right for you, my friend. And that hairpiece, if it works, go for it. Anyway, folks, there we are today, a shave and a chat. It's been a pleasure to share with you this changing season that I'm with you in right now. Suddenly gone cold and dark. When we started, it was bright and sunny. Crikey knows what's coming next. If you have any questions for me, feel free, drop them in. I'm happy to have a chat, and I might include it in the next shave and a chat. Thanks again to Chris Starlight for dropping me this lovely Rockwell razor. I've really enjoyed using this. So heavy, total chunk of stainless steel, and it really feels like you're putting, you know, those bristles to the sword when you shave with that. It's a pleasure to do so. Thank you for the gift, much appreciated. And there we go. So if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more like this, click that subscribe button wherever it is and join us on the journey. If you'd like to practically support the channel, you could simply do that by buying me a coffee, and you will find the link to the Buy Me a Coffee page in the show notes below. And on the Buy Me a Coffee page, by the way, which you don't have to buy me a coffee for, if you go on that page, I actually provide podcast updates to my Buy Me a Coffee friends every fortnight or so. I did one earlier today, and it goes behind the scenes of what I talk about here on the YouTube channel. And you don't have to pay or anything at all, just join the Buy Me a Coffee page and you can hear my ramblings outside of these videos. So until the next time, take care of yourselves. I hope the questions or the answers to your questions were helpful. And until I see you again, take care.